Hello, I'm Jez Smith and welcome to the first idea from the book Humans Are Not Resources, 50 Great Ideas for Managing a Modern Lean Agile Workforce. Now this idea is called Adopting Lean and Agile Practices Yourself, and I think it's a really important one because as much as this book isn't actually about sort of how you do your work, there are lots and lots of courses out there that can teach you how to be a Scrum Master, how to be a product owner, how to use Scrum or Kanban in kind of how you get your work done. This book is much more about the what, kind of what sort of work do you need to do? What sort of work do you start doing? What sort of work do you stop doing as your organisation moves to more lean and agile ways of working? And the what is really important, but I think actually sometimes some of the best ways to learn about the what and really get a sense of what lean and agile are all about is actually to give it a go yourself, to try things out and experiment and so forth. Because people learn in different ways. Some people learn really well through attending classroom courses or doing online learning or reading books. But other people actually learn really well by doing. And I think no matter what kind of learning style you have, a varied sort of diet, as it were, a varied mix of different learning experiences can be really helpful in helping you understand what's actually going on in the new world of lean and agile. Now, what I would suggest with this though is not jumping in too deeply. It's very well to go on a course and learn all about an agile framework. Frameworks are kind of how you bring agile to life on a day-to-day basis, the meetings you have, the roles you have, the kind of processes you follow and so forth. You can go on lots of different courses for lots of different frameworks out there. And the risk with that sometimes is that people therefore think that agile is a methodology. Agile is just a new set of process. It's just kind of a new way of working, and the same with kind of lean approaches as well. So you end up following the same kind of, you end up following the methodology, you end up following the process, doing what the framework tells you to do, without really understanding why you're doing it and without necessarily getting a lot of the benefits. Daily stand-ups, for example, are a really common meeting these days in lots and lots of organisations, but very few organisations really understand what the daily stand-up is there for. So you end up in a situation where lots of people say, well, we're agile now, we should have stand-ups. So at every morning, their team get together, they stand up, they discuss what they're going to work on that day, and then they sit back down and carry on working exactly as they always have, not really understanding why they stood up, but this agile person told them to stand up every day, so now they stand up. And they don't get any of the benefits from it. And the risk with this, if you don't get the benefits, is pretty quickly you start to say, well, lean and agile aren't particularly useful here. It doesn't really work for us. It doesn't really work in our context. Or you end up just kind of thinking the whole thing is waste and moving away from it and so forth. Or you end up redefining lean and agile to mean the status quo. You say, well, we already had status meetings and now our status meeting is called a stand-up, so we're just going to have status meetings whilst we stand up rather than whilst we sit down. Completely pointless, will teach you nothing, will probably give you very few benefits, may as well not bother with it. So what I generally try to say to people is, rather than thinking in terms of methodologies and saying what is the process we need to follow, what things do we need to do differently in order to be more lean and agile, actually just pick something small and understand that at the heart of lean and agile is the idea of experimentation, the idea of trying something out and seeing what happens. It's the scientific method. It's the thing we all did at school. Have a hypothesis, run the experiment, and see if the hypothesis is proven or not proven. And if it's not proven, then try a different experiment. If it is proven, you've learned something interesting there, maybe carry on doing that thing. Keep on doing small little experiments in how you do your work to adopt more lean and agile practices. Because once you start doing that, you really start to get what they're for. You really start to get the mindset that sits behind it. People often say agile is a mindset, and it is, but you don't change your mindset overnight. You don't change your mindset by saying, today I'm going to have an agile mindset. And there you are, the way you think, your thinking patterns, the neurological connections in your brain have all suddenly changed. Of course they haven't. The only way they change is by changing the practices you do, by making small incremental improvements in what you're doing. So I'd say if you want to start understanding as a human resources person, as a recruiter, as a team manager, whatever kind of people responsibility you have, if you really want to start understanding Lean and Agile, try out some of the tools and techniques within them, but try them out from an approach of experimentation. The one I generally recommend to start with is doing something called limiting your work in process. And that's basically limiting the number of things you're working on at any one time. I'm sure we all have really, really busy diaries. We have massive to-do lists. There's all sorts of things we need to get done. And we all secretly know we're not going to get all of them done because there's just too much. But we say we do because we don't want to look bad. When actually, one of the best things you can do, one of the things that Lean teaches us, is that if you start limiting the amount of things you're working on at any one time, you start finishing stuff more. And when you start finishing stuff more, you actually get more delivered over time. It sounds really simple, but very often we forget that if we're trying to do 10 things at once, we're not focusing on getting any one of those things finished. We're trying to work on all 10 simultaneously. If we just said, let's pick one, let's have a work in process limit of one, and we'll get that one finished and then we'll do the next one. And then when that's finished, then we'll start work on the next one. Actually, you stop starting and you start finishing. You start getting more done. So that's generally the place I say to start. Limit your work in process in your own life, in your team, whatever it may be, and just see what happens. Run that experiment, maybe add in some extra approaches, add in some extra tools and techniques from the world of Lean and Agile, and very gradually you will start really to understand what this is all about. And once you understand what this is all about, you can make much greater use of the ideas in the rest of the book that talk about sort of how your work is going to change, the different things you should start doing, the different things you should stop doing as you move to more lean and agile ways of working across your organisation. So I hope that's of use. I'd love to know how you get on with this idea. Is this something you've experimented with already? Did it work for you? Did it not work for you? If you like this video, please leave a like. It would be really, really nice to know that people are liking it out there. If you really liked it, there are plenty more videos coming along, so do click subscribe. Otherwise, go out and give it a go.